Are we live now?
Yes, we are live.
We're live. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Black Powder Podcast. Here on the Firearms Radio Network, I am joined by my buddy Eric Parker, Bold Liberty. Eric, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
And Mr. Marcus Matthews, the only real libertarian in the world, has also joined us, my melanated brother-in-arms from California. And, of course, my name is Michael White, a.k.a. MW4 Liberty. As always, we are proudly sponsored by the Firearms Radio Network and brought to you today by Common Arms Trade Company, as well as 1776swag.com. We'll plug them a couple more times, but that gets all the paying the bills out of the way in the intro. So now we can just talk about what we're going to talk about. Can we do that now?
Absolutely.
There we go.
So, before we get started in our 2023 Libertarian year-end wrap-up from the Libertarian point of view,
yeah, from that point of view, though, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell you something like this. There's one thing we has to be talking about. We have to talk about before we get into our review, and it's out of the great state of Colorado, which has some of the best beer and marijuana that you could ever ask for in life. Their Supreme Court.
Yeah. What? Something happened there? I haven't heard anything.
Could you refresh our memory?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything out of college. What are you talking about, man? Like,
well,
what are you talking?
Apparently, the state of Colorado said no to the former president, Donald J. Trump, that he can't be on the ballot in 2024. Damn liberals.
Man, there's a lot to say for that one. And there's a bunch to unpack on that one. Marcus, I'm sure you were happy to hear it. You love drama, so I'm sure you were just like, this is great, right?
Anytime I can watch the duopoly, like, literally cut off each other's balls. This is that literally that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like, hey, when they do that to each other, it's the popcorn time. It's just the most beautiful time of the year for me.
Yeah, I guess so, man. So, Eric, how did you react to it, man?
So, I mean, like, you know, I'm not a Republican, so it didn't bother me, but Justin Amash's response about it or whatever, opinion about it on Twitter was the best, because
classy.
Most people know Justin Amash, the only libertarian to hold office for a couple months in Congress. He voted to impeach Trump, so it's not like he's a fan of Trump, but he didn't vote to impeach Trump for the same reasons others voted to impeach him. But you care if I read what he said?
No, read it. No, it's very good. Please read it. Yeah.
So Justin Amash said, the opinion of the Colorado Supreme Court is shameful and runs completely counter to our constitutional system. Donald Trump was not removed from office by Congress for engaging in insurrection. Donald Trump has not been criminally convicted in a court of law of engaging in insurrection. Whatever you believe about whether Donald Trump engaged in insurrection has no bearing on whether he's eligible to run for president. No legislative, executive, or judicial body of a state should engage in extra constitutional decision-making to disqualify a federal candidate from the ballot. This isn't accountability. It's an assault on due process of law. It undermines our electoral system and threatens every federal candidate for office.
Yeah, so Justin Amash can just knock it out of the park, can he?
Dude, like, he's so principled, man. The fact that he could put aside his, people said a vendetta. He didn't have a vendetta against Trump. He just
was the only libertarian in Congress, at least for 2 months. See, he's intellectually consistent, Eric.
Yes, exactly.
Well, right. I mean, you're going to put it in a logical perspective like he did, and he did it very eloquently. Obviously, this was a terrible, terrible decision. But I stand by my original statement. I like the circus, and you can't have a circus without clowns. So
I mean, dude, it's a heck of a circus, man.
Or elephants and donkeys.
I mean, we talked about, when the indictment, it seemed like we always seem to have an episode right after some Trump shit jumps off. Like we had one right after the indictment, like I think the first set of indictments, and then we have this one tonight. And they just won't let up, man. I mean, but yeah, Justin Amash nailed it. That was my thing all of a sudden was, first off, he hasn't been convicted of any crime, right?
Yeah, not one.
And technically speaking, if you go look up the 1840 definition of insurrection, okay, which is pretty close to where the 14th Amendment, but give or take 20 years. You go look it up. He's actually what the Democrats accuse him of is rebellion, not insurrection. Okay. So I'm not going to go through all the definition of it, but rebellion is a crime punishable by death. So do you think Nancy Pelosi or somebody would get on TV tomorrow and be like, yeah, we need to put Donald Trump to death? Do you think they would do that?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they would either, but at this point in time, I really don't know. I mean, you know, I want to say, you know, it's my first reaction, guys, was this, and it's a little bit selfish. My first reaction was, now you know how it feels.
Yeah, that's true.
My first reaction was, you have been suppressing us on ballots for decades.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And every single election, and not just in Colorado, but in tons of states, again, for decades, thousands and countless times. And so that was my first reaction. My second reaction was, Michael, put your personal feelings aside. What does this say on principle? And on principle, it's the same shit we've been going through, where we just keep setting bad precedent because somebody thinks someone's a bad president. I mean, so it could be the death of the republic, or it could just be more of the shit show, Marcus. I don't know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The way this country was set up, there were safeguards put in place in case the government became too tyrannical and the citizens need to rebel against the government.
I mean, it was in the Declaration of Independence.
But then the government says you don't have the right to rebel against us at the same time. So
yeah,
I always point to the Whiskey Rebellion as when the United States took that first step towards tyranny. When
we were like free for like a day.
We about to tax y'all.
Yeah.
And they were like,
we were free on Tuesday. By Friday, they're like, hey, hold up, wait a second. You guys can't do that. Yeah. And so how can one rebel against the republic if it's of, for, and by the people?
I mean, you know, that's why that's why I think the libertarian concept of voluntary funding of government in some form or fashion, whether you want to have like the sort of hard voluntary funding, like with a national sales tax, or you want to have a fully voluntary funded fee-based government, because you don't have to rebel. You can just do the same thing people did with Bud Light, right? Like if Colorado, I guarantee you that if like Colorado was funded in some voluntary fashion, their schools, bridges, roads, everything, I don't think they would have come out with this, because they know that 50% of people be like, you know what, I'm not giving you any more money.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing that. And so it all comes back to that, man. Forced taxation, you always get this coercion, you always get this kind of messed up thing. But yeah, here we are, dude. It's our new whiskey rebellion, Marcus.
Well, so let me, because I've tried this and I didn't catch traction on it previously. But everybody fills out that what is it, the W4? Is that the one you fill out?
W2, W4.
No, W4, yeah. They redid it now.
Right. So if the American people decided April 2024, we're all putting exempt on our federal taxes for that whole month as a protest to the government, why or what could we start to accomplish if we actually did something of substance like that?
I don't know if you could even. I think you'd have to do it for a year. Go ahead, Eric.
Just doing it for 1 month isn't going to say anything. So my dad. My dad doesn't consider himself libertarian, but he has even agreed. Like, what we would need is 10 million people to kind of sign an oath, kind of like the Free State Project. That once we get 10 million people to agree to sign the oath, then we'll be like, okay, today's D-Day, whatever. We're going to go on and we're all going to switch to exempt and keep it there for until the IRS. I mean, you got to be willing to stick it out, because the IRS is going to show up, and then you might need some attorneys. You might need to talk to some attorneys beforehand, some pro-liberty tax attorneys, and figure it out. You know what I mean? But imagine if you had 10 million at once, not just like we trickle in one click here or there, but all do it 10 million people.
I think I could see that working on a state level, because states can't just print money out of thin air. But our Congress has so shown us over the past 2 decades that the money balancing doesn't mean shit to them. right? Like
No,
they don't
not at
care
all.
if there's a $2 trillion deficit or there's a 7. They'll find a way to fund it, you know?
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, look at all these dumbasses that are not paying their taxes like they think we care. You know, we've
But-
been inventing money forever. And
But
so
are they going to put 10 million people in prison?
oh no,
That's
they
why I think
absolutely
that
couldn't.
number. You
But
know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
How
yeah,
many we have right
They're
now,
going to put
though?
all the poor people that can't afford lawyers in prison.
yeah.
But
I mean, there's not even 10 million federal beds, you know, for that. But again, to Marcus's point, is even discussing a concept like that, is that insurrection? Did you just foment an insurrection? You know, you're
sure,
undermining
if I run for office,
undermining government, you know, and so that, I mean, it is a good point because it asks the question, like, you know, libertarians have always been, and to this question here that D asks, what do you all think about Klaus Schwab talking about libertarianism a few days ago? The reason that he singled out libertarianism is because we've always been sort of against the system, right? We've been the only political philosophy and party that has been consistent in that. You know, we haven't been like, oh, as long as our side is controlling things, we're going to be happy. We've always said, no, the problem is the control. That's the problem. And so that's why Klaus Schwab, you know, sort of singled it out and so guys like us and movements like us, do we become, you know, the new insurrectionist? Is that what they're going to use to silence political dissidents? I mean, I go file to run for office next year. Do I get disqualified from the ballot? Because I had this conversation on black powder where I was like, we're not paying our taxes. I mean, like, you know, it's not that far-fetched to get there when you really think about it. Because, you know, when they impeached Bill Clinton in the 1990s, I remember, I was a kid then, but I remember my dad saying, they're going to be doing this more frequently. And then now, like after Trump, you know, it's going to be every president they're going to be having an impeachment thing with. Every one of them.
Oh,
yeah.
Remember when we had Spike on here? He was like, I'm fine with you running against the system as long as you don't get in power and keep that system going. But this time you're going after your political opponents.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing. This tit for tat, it's some of the most immature, thoughtless bullshit you could ever imagine. And these are the people who have the purse strings and the ability to send the most powerful military and control over literally the United States could control 90% of the world if it wanted to. And these people are some of the dumbest motherfuckers that you could ever imagine.
My opinions always are just the puppets, Marcus. I mean, they're not really the ones, you know, pulling the strings. Jason Crumper asks, Marxists are the epitome of against the system until we are in power. I mean, yeah, I mean, Marxism requires a centralized power to work. So it's like, hey, we're going to seize the reins of production and then we're going to control them really, really hard.
Yeah. And I always like to, because I believe in the yin and the yang and the balance. So has the opposite of Marxism absolutely guaranteed the absolute rights you are born with from your first heart? Well, not you're even born with, from your first heartbeat that the creator gave to us. Has the opposite of Marxism protected all of that?
No, I mean, no, obviously not. I mean,
yeah, and that's where libertarians are. That's where I feel libertarians, to allude to the point you made earlier, libertarians aren't about whether these guys over here are bad. We know they're bad. Or these guys over here are bad. We know they're bad. We want to be the ones that keep those bad people out of your life. We're the barrier. We're the backstop against tyranny from left wing and right wing. And
it's just the forward thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the problem with the uniparty and the duopoly and Republicans and Democrats is they both want power and control. They just want it in their club. You know what I mean?
It's a great comment from Kenneth right there. Yeah. The only thing libertarians have to do to get kicked off a ballot is to actually get on the ballot. Yeah. I mean, pretty much, right? I mean, they did that in Texas last year. Yeah. And it was the Republicans that led that movement. I mean, and I guarantee you the same people who did that last year are sitting home right now going, honey, I can't believe they took Trump off the ballot in Colorado.
So on Twitter,
we need to buy some of his digital trading cards. He needs our money.
On Twitter, the GOP said keeping a political opponent from even appearing on the ballot, like Democrats want to do with President Trump, is the behavior of a third world dictatorship, not a democracy. I retweeted that, and I think some of y'all liked it. But I said, your party and the DNC spend millions to keep entire third parties off the ballot. Sit down. It's time to defeat the uniparty and the duopoly.
Yeah, I replied to that one too. That was too good to miss. I said something about it being hypocrites. I don't know, but yes, I mean, again, it's only okay when we do it,
exactly.
Right? That's the consistent. And so again, that's why I want to ring the neck to some people. Again, I'm here in Arkansas. Marcus, you're in California. Eric, you have some news. You have moved, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are now where?
I'm in North Carolina now. So
you're
the
North
Florida
Carolina.
Man is in North Carolina. You can take the man out of Florida, but you can't take the Florida out the man, though.
You can't take the Florida out. We'll get to it again, but we all have different political surroundings, basically. And the one thing I find, no matter where I go, is again that same thing: is it's okay when we do it, right?
Exactly.
It's okay when we do it. Both sides sued Larry Sharpe off the ballot in New York. Yeah, I mean they absolutely did.
Yes.
So Eric, tell us about the move, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so me and my wife moved up here. She got an awesome opportunity with her career at a healthcare provider up here in North Carolina. She's working for Nova Health. It's an opportunity for her to get board certified in oncology in her field of practice. So we couldn't pass up that opportunity. She moved up here, and she was up here for about 6 weeks before I was able to move up here full time. Like I would make trips, and I was having interviews with different companies. Finally got hired on. This is my third week at my new employer as a maintenance technician. So, I mean, I'm excited. Other than the cold mornings, it's pretty nice up here, and I'll get used to it. I got a couple of jackets. I'll be all right.
Yeah, you digging it though? You liking it?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, so we've always kind of liked the area of North Carolina or mountains, even before we ever got married. When we didn't know where we would end up moving to or living close to the mountains. We're not in the mountains quite yet. We're living in High Point, and it's in between Greensboro and Winston-Salem, but there's at least hills. Like where I'm from, I was like 12 feet above sea level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's some elevation here, and there's like a couple 30 minutes down the road, there's a peak, a mountain is what they call it, Pilot Mountain, and it's like 2,500 feet. I know that's not a mountain to people that have seen real mountains.
Dude, that's a mountain, man. I mean,
but
that's
compared to Florida, that's a mountain.
I mean, again, I'm from Louisiana originally, right? And so, I mean, when I came, I think I was 8 years old, and my parents took me to like Albert Pike Campground in like the Ouachita National Forest. And I want to say like the mountain was like 1,600 feet. I thought it was like Everest. I mean, like, everything I'd seen flatter than flat like my whole life. So I'm with you, man. Once you get to that terrain change, but of course, Marcus is in the most beautiful state of all the states.
Go to the mountains, and the beach in the same day.
Yeah,
and the desert.
Yep, he's got all the things.
Well, that'd be kind of pushing it because of the traffic here, and
the politics was as pretty as the scenery.
LA was built in the desert, wasn't it?
Effectively, the area where I am is pretty arid. Although it's used a lot for farmland, or it was. Now we're just building unaffordable housing
and methadone clinics.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I don't live in an area where we have those issues. But if you were to go maybe 5 miles in west or south, you would run
into one.
Yeah,
you run into a methadone clinic.
Where I live, the vast majority of us are in the preparation stages for civil chaos and whatnot. So we don't have. I'm fortunate and blessed.
Yeah, I think everyone on this podcast right now is fortunate and blessed. It sounds like. But so you're digging it. You like it, Eric. You're happy up there, man. Like, so you may not even know this because you just got there like 3 weeks ago. You think you're going to jump into LP stuff in the Carolinas, man?
So I have officially, and I know this, I'm going to answer Dee's question here about the convention. I do want to come to the convention in Florida, and as long as my schedule doesn't change to where I'm working weekends before the convention happens, I plan on being there. but I have officially registered to vote in the state of North Carolina as a Libertarian. So I won't be able to be a delegate in Florida, which I was almost certain would be a possibility. I'm hoping that my level of involvement here in North Carolina, I'll be given the opportunity to be a delegate and go to national. But if I'm not afforded that opportunity in North Carolina, being a newcomer, not being local yet, I won't be mad and I'll understand. And to be honest, my one vote for whoever, like right now, I think Lars is my favorite guy. Okay. You know what I mean? Like my one vote for Lars, if he loses by one vote and I couldn't be a delegate, I'll feel pretty bad.
He's going to come find you.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't stay
son of a bitch. You couldn't have stayed in
Florida. But I mean, realistically, in the grand scheme of things, what is that one delegate vote for a Libertarian candidate at national? You know what I mean? You still like it's not worth.
I mean, you can't put life on. You don't have the luxury of saying, "Hey, honey, you can't pursue your career." Exactly. I have to go be a delegate. Yeah, I get you, man. I mean, I get you. So, but you're gonna. You think? Have you met any of anyone in the party in North Carolina? Have you?
No, I mean, okay. I'm in. Like I've commented back and forth with people on Twitter. Other than that, not really.
Susan they're lucky to have you, man.
I mean, here in North Carolina, right? I think. Susan Hogarth, she's pretty legit. I hear the North Carolina LP is very active, so I'm excited about that. They're running 5 different congressional candidates. They're actually going to have some primaries because they're going to have, I think, 2 candidates are running for governor, Libertarian candidates. So, like, you know what I mean? I get to vote in a Libertarian primary. That usually never happens.
Yeah, man, that's like seeing a Sasquatch. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's very rare. Mirror.
Yeah. So I think I'm excited. We could beat the Trump horse to death. I mean, I think that sums it up. It's clearly, in my opinion, a constitutional violation. It's more theater, as Marcus has said. It's more hypocrisy from the duopoly. You know, it's all of those things. And you know what's funny about it is that none of our opinions are going to change any of it anyway. So whatever they have scripted is likely what they already have scripted. And again, you know my opinion on it is none of this stuff happens by circumstance or accident. They probably called Trump up 3 months ago. It's like, hey, we're going to do this thing, you know, at the end of the year. He's like, okay, and I'll sell some digital trading cards. Okay. I saw like yesterday he put those out, and I was like, man, he's got something coming up he's going to need money for. And then sure enough, he's kicked off the ballot in Colorado. So, you know,
he's the only guy still trying to sell NFTs.
He must be successful. I mean, I guess I don't know.
Worthless now, just like that monkey one that everybody was. I think let's get some advice to capitalists out there. Don't jump on the fastest boat that just flies by you saying get rich quick. That's just the stupidest shit, dude. This is like the old rush.
Dude, I used to work at a place. I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but this guy always would come like with the new get rich idea, right? And like he's came in one day, he's like, hey man, and he was telling me this thing. I don't remember what the thing was. And I was like, dude, because his cousin had told him at like a barbecue. And I was like, do you think your cousin has some sort of inside track to the next like booming thing? Or like by the time your cousin heard about it, is it already over? You know? And he was like, no, man, look, you need to get in on this. Like, I mean, like, didn't care anyway.
Imagine the dumbasses though that do have those digital trading cards right now and that we're showing them to everybody.
I mean, I'm not gonna call them dumbasses. I understand why people want a hero. I get it. I mean, you know, we want a hero because Marcus, we don't have to do any work if you have a hero. You know, if we got a hero, you don't got to get off the couch and go do anything. You don't have to, you know, sign any petitions. You don't got to get any ballot referendums done. Just one guy's going to take care of it. Send my $25, get my little NFT, and I've done my work, man. I get it, man. They're not dumb. They're just lazy, really, honestly.
You just described Democrats and Republicans because they're, you know, forgive me, all my Democrat and Republican friends, but oftentimes I think you guys are just intellectually lazy because you want a hero.
And we've talked about it too, man. Marcus, they keep everybody busy so they can't think about these things, dude. You got a lot of people out there trying to figure out how they're going to pay their rent and buy Christmas presents. They don't have time to think about this.
Please don't unfollow us if I hurt your feelings, because we mostly have Republicans, and because I've had some Trump supporters try to make comments like Trump will fix.
I have a pretty decent amount of Democrats that follow my page too on Facebook. They have secretly messaged me and be like, hey man, send me some more information. I don't really know where I belong anymore. And I'm like, oh, but he's like, I can't tell these people this. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, come on over.
I will admit, I jumped on the Shiba Inu crypto thing very early, and I have 10,000 shares, but it only cost me 12 cents. So
what are they like? What are they worth now? Like 18 cents?
10. No, like that's
loser.
You literally lost a penny?
Yeah, I mean, so I got like 11,000 for 12 cents. So they're like 0.00001 cent. You know what I mean?
Rounded to the nearest whole number, they're worthless.
See, this is what
but if they ever make it to worth 1 cent, I'll be a millionaire, right?
Michael Waller says, how much further do you guys think the general population has to be pushed toward complete submission before enough people understand there has to be a change from the uniparty system? Good question. You got an opinion on that one first, Marcus?
I don't know at this point, because you have where the government could literally pull you over, and you had $10,000 that you just got at a church function and could steal it from you and make you fight and spend $20,000 to get back $10,000. You have the government can destroy your house looking for a subject with an arrest warrant, then tell you go fuck yourself. We did this in the operational, within our operational duties as the government, and you have no legal recourse to challenge us. I don't know how much further the government can go to force people into a reality of the tyranny that they live in.
So Marcus Matthews' opinion is if they haven't woken up yet, they're not going to.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Eric, what's your take on that question?
Man, I hope that it doesn't have to come down to a violent I don't want to use the term civil war, but you get my point. Something here on our homeland.
Insurrection 2.0. You just got us another insurrection charge, Eric. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm saying, well, I don't know that that's the right term. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
We need that.
What happened whenever the government firebombed like Philadelphia? You know what I mean? Now, granted, that I think it was a minority community, so a lot of people said, that didn't happen to me and my people. You know what I mean? But we've had the history of the government doing it here, and that's like a whole city block, more than a city block.
That was literally a terrorist attack that most people don't even know about.
I think that we have. I think the good thing is we don't have to guess on this one, in my opinion. I think we have a good answer for this one right now. A good answer for that question. Just look at Argentina. Wherever Argentina got to, that's the point when people start to wake up.
150% inflation.
Yeah, something that they eventually, and again, a country that was incredibly socialist, incredibly statist, right? Finally says, okay, this is not working. I mean, imagine that. You know, I mean, people voting against their own welfare, essentially. I mean, you know, the welfare from the government. So, yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, D. Dockery, no one is going to save your life, not even libertarians, but libertarians will leave you alone. That's right, D. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. 100%. What is your guys' thought on the libertarian president in Argentina? He's awesome. I mean, at least so far, I guess. I mean,
that's he's already cut down the different executive, I guess, agencies from like 30 something to like 12. I don't know the exact number. It's cut them in half.
Yeah. It's oversimplification to say awesome. I still think there's a lot to prove there, but I mean, you know, I'm sorry to see it.
I mean, it's invigorating that it became possible. And you cannot take away his victory whatsoever. I just don't think American libertarians should hang their hat on this guy just yet until we see some governance, because he's going to have, he has the same problem a Lars, Chase, Josh, anybody, a Spike. If they were a libertarian that got elected here, chances are his Congress would still be, 55-45 Democrats and Republicans, vice versa, or whatever.
Yeah.
So if he fails to get shit out of Congress, they're going to label him a failure. And it's not going to be, there won't be any nuance or details to that situation, because we don't do that shit here. We know why.
I kind of feel like we're just kind of knocking it out of the park, though, Marcus. We got like Klaus Schwab scared of us. We got the first libertarian president elected. We're kind of trending right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Tucker Carlson hates us, even though he had a Javier on his podcast.
Who does? Who's that?
Tucker Carlson. He said recently about like libertarian economics. We've been proving it doesn't work, but like a month ago, he had Javier Milei on his podcast.
Okay, I did miss this one. When did he say this?
Like last week, within the last week. I don't know that he's on a podcast, and I think maybe he used the wrong term, which I've also never thought Tucker Carlson's a libertarian by any means.
But what is libertarian economics? You mean free market capitalism?
Well, yeah, and that's my point is he's trying to say we've been proven it doesn't work, but I was like, actually, we've never given it a chance to work. We don't have free market capitalism here.
No, it works all the time. You know, it works.
Well, yeah, in the black market.
Yeah, it works all the time. Yeah,
exactly. But that's not what we have here.
Free market capitalism won the war on drugs against the world's greatest superpower, I might add.
I think he complained about like dollar stores being on every corner. I don't know what his point was, but for the record, I got this Christmas hat from the Dollar General for $1. So I'm perfectly fine with dollar stores.
I just realized we have Dollar General colors.
This is sweet bling I got. Like I couldn't
our,
have got that.
Our little tags are Dollar General colors over here. This is very fitting, at least for my frame in Arkansas. You know,
I'll tell you something about Dollar General. That's the best capitalist store that we have here in America because it feeds our needs. And capitalism ultimately is about.
I would not use Dollar General as an example of good capitalism.
Dollar General is the best store. I put
Dollar General found a way to where the cracks in the system that statism has created to fill those, and that's what it is. So I guess it fills a niche, but you wouldn't have in a free market system void of as much government interference as we had. You wouldn't have a Dollar General. There would be some, but they wouldn't be everywhere.
I don't want to give Dollar General too much credit because, like, the CEO ran against Shane Hazel for governor, didn't he?
Who the hell's Shane Hazel?
You know who Shane Hazel is. I don't know. Okay, I thought he was playing with us. Being serious, yeah.
Don't hold on. Let me. I have to get this point in. I will not have any Dollar General bashing here on the Black Powder Podcast because they provide a service to the people that the government takes so much fucking money from. That's the only place they can afford to shop.
Like I said, they fill a crack that statism has created. Yeah. That crack wouldn't be in the concrete. Like you wouldn't be epoxying that with Dollar General putty. It had that not existed. I tell you what, I went to Dollar General one time, man, in Bismarck, Arkansas. And it was like the cleanest Dollar General I'd ever seen in my life. Like, you know, you usually walk in, there's like stuff never put on the shelf. Like there's one person working with 19 customers. This place was like super pristine. There's 2 people working. They were very proud of their job. I was like, all right, okay. This was very nice. So they have surprisingly
Google Bismarck, Arkansas and see what the population of that city.
Oh, he tried to tie libertarian economic to inflation. Yeah. So, man, you know, speaking of kind of like those talking head people, Alex Jones one time, now that he's back on Twitter, that's some news of the year too, right? He went on Steven Crowder once, and Steven Crowder was bringing up the conversation about social media companies, you know, suppressing free speech. And out of that conversation, he said, that's why I don't like libertarians, because libertarians can't keep that stuff from happening, right? And the argument is, no. You see, the reason that stuff happened is because you've introduced authority into the situation.
Exactly.
Because they don't understand. This is about like you can have the cattle prod today, but somebody's going to have it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, so you know again, I don't understand how that's such a hard concept to grasp. I think people just want the cattle prod.
Yeah, I've asked this question several times over the last year and a half or so. Is specifically because of Twitter. Do you really have free speech on social media?
No, I mean, I don't think so. No.
And I don't understand why people are trying to make that argument that this is about free speech. And I always equate it to, let's say you have a restaurant, and free speech covers a lot of activities. It not only talking, but like physical activities. So if you have free speech and you're a free speech absolutist, let's say you have a restaurant, somebody comes in there and opens the door, squats down, takes a sideways shit on your floor and says, "This is free speech."
This is a pretty extreme
I think,
example here.
I
Yeah.
think this place is shit.
Well,
Therefore,
we've caused a health code violation. We've probably
yeah,
violated the NAP in some way. I'm sitting here with
and
my kid. You know, I mean,
you don't have free speech between private citizens. Like you could go up and you know that
Yeah.
might have been an
I
extreme.
think it's but I mean, Marcus, it's a good question to ask though. Like, what has social media become? I mean, it is the kind of the meeting hall of the
It's
modern
public
world,
forum.
right?
It is the public forum.
And again, it wasn't like these private companies made these decisions during COVID and all this. Government directed them to do this. So, I mean, they were a government actor for all sakes and purposes, and that is a violation of free speech.
Yeah, that whenever there's a connection between a private company and the government, and especially with a contract and exchange of money, then at that point they kind of become an extended arm of the government.
Yeah, not kind of. They do. I mean,
yeah,
government actor at that point in time. Yeah,
I say this all the time. Every company, entity, industry, or any other business that you could think of has a lobbyist in Washington, D.C., in your state capital, wherever it is. I don't know the state capital of Arkansas. Is it Little Rock?
It's Little Rock, yes.
In North Carolina, it's what?
I don't know. Riley?
I don't blame you for not knowing that. I don't know that shit. Or a lobbyist in every state capital of the United States. Every all of those entities.
There are lobbyists in your city hall.
Yeah, except the American people. There is nobody lobbying on our behalf anywhere.
This podcast, baby.
Yeah, I mean, some people though would argue. I'm going to take this counter side of this argument. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Think about, for instance, the firearms lobby. Right? There's people right now fighting to get, firearms laws repealed in certain states. They're advocating for the people, right? I mean, but you could argue that they are, but their own self-interest as well. I mean, I don't think you're ever, again, the amount of money in politics will always be, proportional to the amount of power that politicians wield. Basically, you want less money in politics, have them, politicians less involved in your life. Do we really have free speech anywhere? I mean, yeah, I guess you do.
I think you absolutely do. But I think Americans don't understand this point. Free speech doesn't mean no consequences.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
And you could say whatever the fuck you want. I've had people say crazy shit to me, and I've literally told them, "You're lucky I'm a better man now than I was 10 years ago, because they be scraping your ass up off this floor."
That's what I'm going to say.
Everything has consequences, though. I mean, like every action, whether even
I'm going to
good
steal
or
Mike
none or whatever.
Tyson's quote, but change it to my own. Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. Well, everyone's got free speech till they get punched in the mouth. You know what I mean? Like there could be consequences to what you say. You don't know. Some people out there don't follow the NAP.
I mean, I honestly, I would love to see. I think the best way to counter, bad speech is with it being in the open and people can see it and then can counter it. I mean, so, that's my opinion of it. And it's weird though. Like, you look at, certain platforms, like, X has like the head of ISIS, like I had a Twitter account, but then like Alex Jones couldn't have one. It seems a little strange. Yeah. That seems a little strange, a little bit inconsistent. But again, a lot of these people, we've talked about this early on, if they didn't have any inconsistency, they wouldn't have any consistency at all.
Variety is the spice of life.
It's whatever. It's okay when we do it, Marcus. It's okay when we do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the duopoly's main go-to is, like a state like California, we have a uniparty. A state like Texas has a uniparty. There's several states along the Bible Belt in the southern that have uniparties, like New York, Illinois. They have these politicians. When you have to run against your fellow liberal or fellow conservative, what's the only way to beat them? You have to out liberal or out conservative them. So that means you have to lurch further to the left and the right and more radical in order to draw in the people and show that you're different from them. But the problem is that's having an ill effect upon the populace. Because I say, I've said this before, every day you go to work with people of varying backgrounds and lifestyles. And 98.9% of the time, everybody's getting the job done. But then you go home and you turn on the TV, and the TV tells you why you should hate this person that votes this way and whatnot. And if we just had a moment to reflect back and look at what we're actually being told versus what we are. And that's to the point. What we are Americans that get the job done.
But Marcus, they you know, the American people, for the most part, are stuck in some form of trauma-based mind control.
Yeah.
You know, and as long as people are scared, and they're easy to control. And it just depends now on who they view as authority. If you look at this, like, again, if you are someone who maybe views Republicans with authority, you might be scared of brown people hopping over the border, coming to take your job, right? You might be scared of somebody putting a rainbow flag, you know, in the front yard of someplace. You might be scared. You're always scared of something. It was, you know, the axis of evil, terrorism, whatever. And Democrats do the same thing. They say you need to be scared of these MAGA conservatives. They're gonna take your, you know, your LGBT whatever rights, right? And I'm still going, what rights do they not have that I have?
I'm confused about that point.
Okay, you know, are they're going to take this, or they're going to take that, or they're going to do this, and so you put these people that benefit from this division, and then you give them basically the loudest voice in the room, and then you let them scare people. And so, you know, again, most people run around just scared, dude. I mean, they don't have time to think. They're scared of financial failure. They're scared of how they're going to feed their family next month. You know, everything has been designed to get that way. And, you know, we talk about education all the time. What are the hallmarks of modern education today? Compliance, right?
Get in line and
rewarded for what? What are you rewarded for in modern education? You're not rewarded for constructive thought.
That's where you get your little sticker or stamp.
You're rewarded for compliance. You're rewarded for compliance. You're rewarded for regurgitating what you've been told. And so we've created a whole nation of these people. And so kind of circling back to the previous question, I don't think until they realize what they should have been scared about the whole time was the people scaring them, we don't see any change.
Well, just before I let Eric jump in here real quick, I just want to interject one point.
Yep.
My daughter told me her senior year, she figured out high school her sophomore year. She says, all you have to do is tell the teachers what they want to hear. And I was like, damn, I wish I had thought about that shit when I was in the high school being a fucking knucklehead. That's all you had to do was tell them what they wanted to hear. And I was just like, that is one of the most profound statements of our public education system. And I know a lot of teachers, obviously I work for a school district, they're great people, but they're hamstrung oftentimes by the government. But Eric?
Well, and I mean, like, I was just going to say about the whole free speech thing, and to piggyback off what you're saying about, I guess, the education system or teachers, journalism's kind of the same way right now. Like, I mean, we all beat up mainstream media, and some people have said, quit using the term mainstream because they're not mainstream anymore. Podcasts and shows, hopefully like this one day, are becoming the mainstream. Joe Rogan gets 100 times more views than CNN does, but they are the regime media or the establishment media, the corporate media. So, but that's the thing is, but they're captured, you know what I mean? Like, and they have to do that to collect a paycheck, essentially. I mean, like, I guess Tucker Carlson's able to break away, but I don't know that he's still broke away. For all we know, I mean, Tucker Carlson was on CNN before he was on Fox. No one really knows what his political ideology even is. I think.
Well, I know, like, Carlson, he said he hated Trump in some recording, right?
Exactly. I think Tucker is his ideology follows whatever gets him clicks. You know what I mean? And like, he'll be a ultra conservative. He'll be a populist. He'll have on a libertarian, and then he'll trash talk libertarian economics as if it's not a good thing. that means he's leaning socialist.
I'm still like scratching my head on what libertarian economics is.
So I mean, I'm just saying, like that's my point though, is like he's still in the media, but he's still getting attention, and he has fans that regardless of what he says, they're gonna watch his podcast.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean? Like,
he just nailed it. Both sides scare the shit out of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, oftentimes Americans, because of our public education system, they feel like we don't create intuitive thinkers. We create people that look to other people to tell them what to think.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what you know, the authority figure of a instructor or teacher is. You're like, wow, this person taught me how to think. There's a lot of shitty people out there in jobs that are teaching our kids.
Well, but I love that. I think you gave me the quote. I think I heard it from you first, Marcus, which is, don't send your children to Caesar and be surprised when they come back as Romans.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you have the state educating them and the state indoctrinating them. So of course they're going to look to the state as it's the ultimate authority, which is why you had people riding around in their car with masks on by themselves. You had people, with this abject terror of their fellow human. I think it all started, in my opinion, when they did that duck and cover stuff in elementary school back in they're like, hey, get underneath this little plywood desk and you're not going to die from the atomic bomb. And those kids were like, yeah, we're fine. I'm telling you, little Michael had been in that class, know what I know now. I'd have been like, this is the dumbest shit. Y'all are all dead. We're all dead. I'm not spending the last 2 minutes on earth under my desk. So I'm going to the teacher's lounge. I'm getting some Cokes out the fridge. Last place I'm going to be is under desk.
Yeah, you had that. We had that. Plus, that was our procedure for earthquake.
Oh, so yeah.
Sitting in the HVAC unit.
That might help okay. Maybe a little bit.
I mean, if the roof collapsed on you, that's just one more impediment to you actually trying to free yourself.
But, I think about this a lot because my daughter is absolutely terrified of bad storms. My oldest daughter is. And absolutely terrified. And it started, do you remember the tornado that hit Joplin, Missouri? Yeah. Remember that? Okay, it started during that because after that, like they came to school and like the teacher was telling them all this, and then they started doing tornado drills at the school, but like randomly out of nowhere. Like how fast can you get to the hallway and have your book and all this kind of stuff? And I think it subconsciously programmed her to like any second, this is going to be Joplin, Missouri, right now, any second, any bit at all. And so think about that, man. They got that. They get them early. They give them that little response mechanism. And Marcus, they've captured them. And then it's job. Then they were wondering why can't we wake these people up? Well, they spent 12 years. Yeah,
my generation had commercials on TV to tell you to stop, drop, and roll if you caught on fire.
That might be a good idea. It doesn't work. What are you talking about?
What were the odds of you catching on fire? So much so that the public. It was a public broadcast system or whatever it was, said, if you're ever on fire, stop.
Drop and roll. Like you're just going to spontaneously combust. Yeah.
That's burned into my memories. And
so, Eric, you're of the DARE generation like I am, right?
Yeah.
Like they kind of taught me that like people are just going to randomly all my life just walk up and offer me
free drugs. Walk up and offer you free drugs. I've been waiting for that my whole life.
Yeah, it's never happened. Never.
To be fair, that's my generation too. Don't exclude.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. It's like right up there with like quicksand. Like I remember thinking as a kid, like there's gonna be.
We all know how to get out of quicksand. You grab a branch, you lay out.
I have never seen quicksand ever once. It's never shown up.
Doesn't actually exist in life. I mean, is it a real thing anywhere?
I think it's a real thing. Yes, but
in that one movie where the horse died.
Well, back to California.
There
is a thing called liquefaction. And that's when there is a low water table and there's an earthquake and the topsoil starts liquefying into the water because of the shaking. It's like, if you're doing a protein shake, like my good man Michael is is that what you're drinking tonight?
Yeah, that was a protein shake, but it's already gone. So
good. I just wanted to. So as we move forward into 2024, where do you guys see the Libertarian Party?
Ooh.
Man,
Michael,
the Libertarian Party in 2024 has an opportunity to offer a viable alternative to a 2020 repeat that nobody wants to see. You know what I mean? Now, the biggest issue I think is that RFK Jr. running as an independent, which I think he should still run and still offer an alternative that will steal from the duopoly.
Yeah.
I will be embarrassed if he gets more than the Libertarian Party gets. But it'll be something to build off of. It might teach us something as a party moving forward. So, you know what I mean? And I'm not worried about like Cornell West or the Green Party, what percentage they're going to get, but RFK Jr. throws a monkey wrench into things.
Yeah. Michael?
Yeah, Marcus, my goal is always, if we can wake up one more mind.
Yeah.
And obviously, to me, that's winning is if we have like I said, we're already kind of trending, right? We have a libertarian president elected for the first time. We got Klaus Schwab scared of us. People are asking, what is a libertarian? What is this thing? Our future is going to be at how well that we, sell liberty to people and sell it as a viable alternative to what's going on in their life and explain to them that most of the things that they are concerned with, government caused the problem, government offered a non-solution. And then government, said, look, I gave this to you, not the other person. Hate them, love me, vote for me again because I'm not them. And they get richer, you get poor. That's the opportunity we have, and we've always had it. But to me, it's like I want to see some local elections really go really well. I want to see some state house races won. And I want to see like the party grow on it. I want all the state affiliates to, if you could double, triple, quadruple their size in a year, I think that'd be awesome, man. But where I think it's going to be, I think that ultimately, the duopoly is going to win again in 2024, and the bankers are going to win, and the military-industrial complex will win, and we'll be here talking about some other crazy thing. Then at that point in time, we're still here.
All right, for me,
I think. Go ahead. No, you're good. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. It's back on.
Yeah, for me, I think this is a year of our percentage, where we reach that threshold in the presidential election where we can get equal funding. What is that? 5%? Is it
5%? I think.
Yeah. Me personally, my goal for 2024 is Black outreach in the Libertarian Party, because I think Black people are naturally libertarians. We love weed. We know the government's full of shit. And this sounds crazy, but I don't think it's bullshit at all. We know the government will fuck you over because it's been a group of people that the government has fucked over, and
they tend to vote overwhelmingly Democrat or not vote at all.
Democrat, yeah,
right,
and Republicans like to tell Black people all the time, "What are you getting for voting for Democrats? What the fuck are you getting from voting for Republicans?"
Exactly,
nothing.
It's the status quo.
Yeah.
And that argument pisses me the fuck off. And this year, I'm going to work with my San Bernardino County chapter and the LA County chapter of the Libertarian Party.
I mean, you're nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the outreach to Black voters can put libertarians at 20%. Easy. Because this message resonates. Do you want the government to stop fucking with you? Do you want to be able to send your kids to the best school possible? Do you want to do what you want to do without, and you're not hurting anybody else? Do you want to do that without thinking the government's going to bust down your door like they did in Mississippi, where the goon squad bust down that guy's door, shot him in the mouth because they heard a rumor? This is tyranny. Black people understand all that shit. If we could just tell them, you don't have a home with Democrats. You don't have a home with Republicans. We could bring this in and you can have the things you want. You can have the impediments to your economic success eliminated from your life. And that's what the Libertarian Party can do. And I don't understand why we haven't done that sooner, but that's going to be my mission in 2024.
I'm digging
it. That was the most epic rant I've heard from you all year.
You need to cut that one out,
chop
man.
that up.
And
you got to put that out. Like, seriously.
Out there. Yeah.
Just hearing you rip there.
Because we talked about it, man. There's, I mean, honestly, like, you know, but between Native Americans and black people, two groups of people that should be more distrustful of government than anybody. They got more reason right now than just about anybody, right? And so, but hey, man, this concept of, again, the dependent class, keeping people from voting by keeping them felons. I mean, I think the powers that should not be know that a lot of the political future in this country lies in the hands of black folks, and that they do their best to either keep them not participating at all or participating only for them, you know? Yeah,
for sure. All right.
Hey,
well,
Marcus, real quick, are there any topics that people commented that we didn't touch on?
Yeah, we got 5 minutes.
I'm not sure. I got to piss like a racehorse. You guys handle this shit for a moment.
Well, hurry up and get back.
Put the thing up so we know.
Marcus always does this on a.
I know, like, dude, I mean, 5 like, dude, minutes, you know, hold it.
I mean, yeah, you can't make it to an hour.
Hold on.
Yeah, Ken says, Marcus, come to Tulsa. Let's do it.
Guess we're running late.
Would remind them that. Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. Yeah. Tulsa would be a great place to do some of that.
Oh, dude, like, that would be an epic outreach for the minority community.
Yeah, dude.
Black community.
Well, I mean, I just think that, like I said, I think that, you know, Marcus and I have always talked. That's like a recurring theme on this podcast when Marcus and I get together is we've talked about the black community, you know, black perception of politics.
Yeah.
Because, again, he's a black dude and I live in the South. And so I got a lot of black friends. And, you know, I mean, like we talk about this a lot. And, yeah, I just don't get it, man. The idea of either not participating or trusting the state wholly because, you know, like, okay, so I had a buddy and I was like, hey, man, this is like 10 years ago. When maybe 15 years ago, I think it's Obama's first run, right? And we're talking about this. He's like, man, I'm going to vote for Obama. And I was like, oh, you're going to vote for him because he's black, right? And he was like, no, man, I ain't voting for him because he's black. I'm voting for whatever. And I was like, you're voting for him because he's black, right? And he was like, no, I'm not. And I was like, the Democrat Party has done this, 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 and this. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and you think that he's going to change all these things? He goes, yeah. And I said, all right. Came back to the second election, right? He comes back in. Same friend. Hey, man, how'd you feel about voting for Obama? Yeah, man, that was, it didn't really, I mean, we got a black guy in the White House, but it didn't really do much. And I was like, okay. I was like, so is anything in your life better, you know, than that? Or has the government just gotten larger? He was like, he had to admit the government's gotten larger. And that gentleman today, his name is Troy. Troy, if you're listening, you know who you are. He's now a libertarian. So, I mean, again, win hearts and minds, we can get him there, man. We can do it. It can happen.
Like in my race, like, look, I'm the whitest, most redneck guy y'all probably ever had on this podcast. You know what I mean? And I won the black vote in Jacksonville. Like I won the predominant, and you could, it's my header on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like white libertarian wins black vote in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't enough to win the election. And I do think 10,000 voters, maybe more, chose not to vote for me. And because you could compare my race to another race that was at large that had a Republican versus a Democrat, and that race got 10,000 more votes because there were 10,000 people that would rather not vote at all than vote for a libertarian. And that's a perception that somebody has about libertarians, probably said no different than a Republican.
Who was the incumbent you were running against?
Yeah, my incumbent was Republican.
Okay, and this is an at-large position. And so what other races were going on? Like, what was the largest race?
Mayor, there wasn't sheriff, but mayor, city council district races, and city council at-large races.
Got you.
And there was also in that race, I guess there was like property appraiser, tax collector, supervisor elections, depending on if, I think,
because it was an election that was outside of normal elections. Like you didn't vote for the Congress people the same day, right? Like this was a Jacksonville election,
and they do that intentionally. They don't want your average voter showing up to vote in these local.
Oh yeah, elections. They do it here when they come up with like special tax proposals. They'll have that.
They do it in an off season. No one's going to show up.
Yeah,
only the political people who love government are going to show up and vote. So then whatever they vote for, they're going to pass.
No, D's right. You can't grow the party calling people bootlickers. That's 100% true. And, you know, D, it is my belief that we have to meet people where they are. You know, Marcus is the only real libertarian, right? But too often I feel like we have somebody that we meet, for instance, my buddy Troy, who found himself disenfranchised with the two-party system, you know, I didn't berate him or call him stupid or anything for voting for Obama the first time. I simply maintained my friendship with him and always, talked about the concepts of liberty. And he became a libertarian because he was disenfranchised with the Democrat Party over that issue, right? He didn't get the anti-war stuff. He didn't get, Guantanamo closed down. The war on drugs continued. The incarceration rate went higher. And so a lot of these people, man, they're going to be coming from the two-party system. And they're going to learn this stuff slowly. They can't come in as like the perfect libertarian on day one. I don't expect that everybody's read Murray Rothbard, when they first come and talk to me. I just want to be like, hey, man, do you think they're wasting your taxes? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a starting place. We can start right there. That's all we need, man.
I give Obama one piece of credit. I did not vote for him either time, and I say that proudly as a black man. I never voted for Obama. But there is one thing he did. It was put the possession of crack cocaine and the possession of powdered cocaine on the same level plane. Because prior to him, it was a 7-to-1 ratio. So if you had 7 grams of crack versus 1 gram.
That's just because Biden was like, psst, psst, my son smokes that. So can you get that on the same thing, case like?
Yeah, but which is more prevalent?
That's what happened.
Thank you, Hunter.
Yeah.
Like I said when we had Spike on, I don't know why people, especially black people, are hating on Hunter for smoking crack. That's less crack in the hood. That's all I'm saying. Let him smoke as much crack as he wants.
We could probably wrap up with this topic. So we got a few minutes on this one. Hold on. We'll go right into Hunter Biden on one thing. So we are proudly sponsored by the Firearms Radio Network, and our sponsor, Common Arms Trade Company, is your one-stop shop for all things 2A. And so we're talking about firearm stuff. Hunter Biden is currently under indictment for federal firearms charges. And the defense that he's having is that it's unconstitutional to say that a drug user cannot have a firearm, right?
Heck yeah.
Your Louisiana court system said that.
So let's think about this for a second. On the same time that we have this going on over here, and we talk about we want a hero for something, if Hunter Biden becomes the individual that brings down the entire NFA and gun control, they all fall because of him. Would be the most unlikely hero for the 2A ever, right?
Yes. We need him as the keynote speaker at the Libertarian Convention in D.C. if that happens.
And so, again, it's my belief that we just kept messaging that over and over again. And somewhere along the way, someone heard it and said, hey, Hunter, we're going to try this libertarian thing here where this is unconstitutional that you can't have a gun.
What did his dad say? This quarter, this much crack. We'll get you 25. Did he like that? I mean, that's why it comes full circle, because his father was instrumental.
His dad wrote the crime bill.
But remember, it's only okay. It's okay when we do it, Marcus. It's okay when we do it.
Any other topics we missed in the next 7 seconds?
We'll have to hit it next time, I guess.
We actually missed, according to all our topics, our fine people who follow the Black Powder podcast dimed in on, was gun control, and we just touched.
We just covered it.
We just covered it. There's a lot. We've had a lot of stuff. We could do a first of the year show about all the gun legislation that happened this year. There's a bunch of it. But yes, we did.
First of the year, we're gonna have somebody actually that we should have had on a long time ago, and I've talked to her about this because I want to do stuff like You Are the Power type things going forward next year, a little bit more of that. And we have a friend, Candace Harper, out in Virginia that went through the most amazing tyrannical bullshit you could ever imagine by her local government. And I told her she's first. So when we come back next year, we're going to have her on because we've been kicking that can down the road and whatnot. But back to gun control real quick, because California has, for our CCW, we're going to have to take more training. I think it went from 8 hours to 15 hours. I don't care. I love training. I love every aspect. I don't think they think that's a flex as they think it is, because any person who takes upon the responsibility of carrying a firearm in public needs as much training as humanly possible.
They need as much training as they think they need.
Well, I'm not saying
as much as the government thinks they need.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was about to say. Not so much as the government, but you should take it upon yourself to train in multiple situations. Like I did IDPA, where you're basically CCW and you train in multiple scenarios. So teaching people the right scenario, especially in a state like California, where you don't know if the DA is going to charge you for defending yourself or not, I don't think that's necessarily the flex and the impediment to getting your CCW as they think it is. One more day is not going to be such a burden upon any human being. But I agree with you. I don't like the government saying you need this. That's the problem.
Yeah, we don't have any of that bullshit here in Arkansas, man. You can
Yeah.
just carry a gun, concealed, open, doesn't matter. Don't have to have a CCW. You know, if you're legal to carry it, you're legal to carry it. That's the only thing that would maybe need to be changed. So yeah, I was like, whatever.
And
Gotcha.
I haven't bothered looking up the laws here in North Carolina because I'm going to do what I want to do.
All gun laws are unconstitutional.
Oh
yeah. All gun laws are unconstitutional. They all need to go. Yeah. All right.
All gun laws are racist, as our good friend Mass Torrey would say.
Yeah, but well, I mean, we've talked about that one too. The racist history of gun control. Yes, we have. Yeah. Anyway, so are we wrapping this one up, Marcus? Is that what we're doing?
We got to wrap it up. We have a few more comments. I'm gonna put them in real quick.
Yes, you are the power.net. Visit. Absolutely. Guns, drugs, and prostitutes. Hunter might be a libertarian heart. He just hasn't learned about the anti-authoritarianism part. Hey, you know what? You can be a libertine and a libertarian at the same time, but, you know, yes. Oklahoma is the Wild West. Stay strapped or get clapped. All right. You are the powder. Yeah, that would be Hunter Biden's organization.
All right. I want to take a quick moment to wish both of you the merriest of Christmas and Happy New Year's. I love you guys. You're my brothers. I can't wait till we can break bread together.
Thank you, Marcus.
I can't thank you both enough for this year. Next year, we have big plans and we're going to do big things. So I just want to tell everybody out there, be prepared for the Black Powder Podcast because we're coming.
We're coming. Well, Merry Christmas to you too, Marcus and Eric. Y'all have a great one, man. Absolutely.
Appreciate
I love you guys. This has been
Michael,
great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Cool. So in closing, as we do, we want to thank our great sponsors, Common Arms Trade Company, 1776 Swag. I want to thank Eric Parker, Bold Liberty, Michael, MW4 Liberty, Michael White. You guys want to shout out your enterprises?
I'm on Facebook, Eric Parker Bold Liberty, on Twitter at Eric P904. Go follow, go like, do all the things.
Yeah, just hit the Google machine and type in Michael White for U.S. Congress. You'll find my stuff. It's pretty easy.
Word. This is the Black Powder Podcast. I'm Marcus Matthews. I want to thank you all. As we always say in closing, live free
or die.
And now the world's longest click. Here it goes.